I didn't plan to stay long. Office parties aren't my thing. You don't spend 10 years keeping your head down in finance and suddenly learn to enjoy open bars and loud people pretending they like each other. My plan was simple. One ginger ale, a polite nod to HR, and disappear before the karaoke started. But plans dissolve fast when someone wants a laugh. The party was at the rooftop lounge of the new downtown building, the kind with LED lights tracing the walls and waiters who made eye contact like they were scanning QR codes. The skyline outside was a string of glass teeth, and everyone sparkled just enough to look expensive. I wasn't sparkling. My jacket was 3 years old, my shoes clean but tired. I'd worked through lunch that day, finishing a client forecast nobody would remember. Then Jake spotted me. Jake, the guy who thought charm was the same thing as volume. Sales department, bright smile, fake watch, loud laugh that could slice through concrete. The type who shakes your hand with both of his, like he's taking something back from you. "Hey, our favorite spreadsheet wizard finally left his cave," he shouted, raising his glass so his people would turn. They did. That was Jake's gift. Gravity. He pulled attention the way a drain pulls water. I smiled because that's what you do when someone aims a spotlight at you in public. "Come on," he said, clapping my shoulder. "You gotta check this out. We did something special for you." My stomach sank. The last time he said that, my name ended up in a meme thread about most boring guy alive. But I followed him anyway. You learn to survive by not making a scene. The projector screen lit up. Everyone gathered. I saw my own ID photo appear, the dull, fluorescent-lit headshot from my badge. Then the slides started. Graphs, charts, fake quotes in Comic Sans. How to survive the fiscal year without smiling once. Laughter rippled. Someone shouted, "That's actually accurate!" and the crowd erupted. Jake played a clip of me typing during a meeting, sped up to cartoon speed with circus music. Phones came up, flashes like static. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to stay still. You can't out-yell a mob, you can only outlast it. "That's our man," Jake laughed. "Give it up for Mr. Productivity." I could hear the CEO's assistant somewhere near the back, murmuring, "Oh, God," under her breath. The air smelled like champagne and burnt lemon from the caterer's torches. My hands itched to put the glass down, to do anything, but I didn't move. There's power in stillness if you can hold it long enough. The room started to lose interest, until Jake added one last line. He grinned and said, "Let's be honest. Without his spreadsheets, none of us would get paid. Not that he's getting paid much anyway." It hit harder than he expected. Laughter turned thin. A few people looked away. Someone muttered, "Too far." And that's when I noticed him, the new CEO. He'd arrived quietly, no announcement, just walked in like someone who already owned the air. Early 40s, charcoal suit, no tie, eyes that didn't scan the room. They dissected it. He wasn't smiling. He was watching me. Jake didn't notice. He was still milking his moment, raising his glass high like a comedian who can't read a dying crowd. "Come on, smile, man. It's all love." I didn't smile. I just looked at him, and then at the CEO. The CEO's expression didn't change, but his gaze locked on Jake like a scalpel, finding soft tissue. "Relax, man," Jake said, his voice cracking slightly now. "You know I'm joking." I turned away before I said something I'd regret. The laughter behind me stuttered, unsure whether to keep going. I made it to the terrace door and stepped into the night. The cold hit like mercy. Below, the city hummed. Traffic lights pulsed on wet asphalt. My breath came out in short bursts. I leaned against the railing, watching my reflection warp in the glass. Inside, the music picked up again. Someone restarted the playlist, the sound muffled by the door. I stared at the skyline and tried to let the noise fall away. Then I heard footsteps, not quick ones, slow, deliberate, expensive shoes on tile. The terrace door opened, letting a blade of light cut across the floor. I didn't turn. For a moment, no one spoke. Just wind, faint and cold, brushing the edge of my collar, then a voice, calm, measured. I wondered if it was you." I turned. The CEO was standing there, coat open, no drink in his hand, his face unreadable, the kind that learned long ago how to hide reactions because the world pays attention to the wrong ones. He stepped closer. "You used to work at Dane Systems, didn't you?" My mind stumbled. "Years ago." He nodded once, slow. "I thought so. You were the one who fixed their distribution model." Quietly. I didn't know what to say. I hadn't heard that name in years. "I watched the presentation tonight," he said. "It told me a lot." His tone wasn't angry, just factual, like a man reviewing a report he'd already decided the outcome of. He looked back through the glass, where Jake was laughing again, loud and empty. Then back to me. "Come to my office tomorrow, 10 a.m. Before I could answer, he added, almost as an afterthought, "Don't worry, you're not in trouble." He turned and walked back inside. The door clicked shut. I stood there for a while, listening to the city and the faint echo of laughter that no longer sounded like laughter. I didn't know what the CEO meant, or why he remembered my name, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't embarrassed. I was curious. The morning after the party, the office smelled like burnt coffee and perfume, the two scents that never lie. People talked softer than usual, the way they do after something happened everyone saw but no one wants to name. My inbox looked ordinary until I scrolled far enough to see the links. Subject lines, "LMAO last night. You gotta see this. Jake killed it." Each message had a short video. I didn't open them. I didn't have to. I knew the sound of that laughter by heart. On Slack, someone had started a thread. "Best office roast ever." There were gifs of my blank face on loop. Underneath, a few replies. "Poor guy. Chill, it's just a joke. Dude needs thicker skin." Yeah, HR's message came at 9:12 a.m. Sharp. "Hey, Name, could you stop by for a quick chat today? Nothing serious, just following up from the event last night." "Nothing serious" is HR's way of saying, "Please, act normal while we build the case file." Jake strutted past my desk mid-morning, holding a paper cup like a trophy. "Rough night, man," he said, his grin tight but victorious. "You gotta admit, people loved it." I didn't answer. He laughed, tapping the cup against my monitor. "Come on, lighten up." The new boss even smiled. "You saw that?" He hadn't seen anything. The CEO hadn't smiled. Not once. By 11, the clips had made it to the group chat with our sales team, then to a few client managers, and somehow, miraculously, to the company's unofficial meme account. By lunch, my humiliation had engagement metrics. I ate at my desk, headphones in, pretending to focus on an old spreadsheet. The only real noise was the hum of the AC and the flick of my cursor through rows of numbers. Order, logic, safe ground. At 1:58 p.m., the CEO's assistant appeared beside me. "He'd like to see you now." The walk to his office felt longer than it was. People watched without turning their heads. A kind of side-eye courtesy you learn in corporate life. Inside, the room was silent except for the city outside. A low, steady hum through the windows. The CEO sat at a glass desk, jacket off, sleeves rolled to the elbow. He didn't motion for me to sit, but I did. He studied me for a moment. "Rough night?" "I've had worse." "Good," he said, "because I don't have time for bruised egos. Tell me something. How many active clients do you handle?" 8 directly, 4 support accounts. "And yet," he said, tapping a folder on his desk, "your name appears on 42 internal reports in the last quarter. You like fixing other people's work?" I hesitated. I don't like the broken numbers. He smiled for the first time, not kindly, but like someone confirming a hypothesis. "That's what I thought." He leaned back. "We've got a problem. A major client, Horizon Systems, is threatening to pull a $4.6 million contract. Their quarterly review is tomorrow. The pitch deck's due at 9 a.m. "That's Jake's team," I said. "It is," he agreed, "and you're on it now." He slid the folder toward me. "I want you co-leading the rebuild. Start from the raw data. Don't trust the dashboard. Deliver something I can stand behind." "That's 24 hours." He checked his watch. "Actually, 22. Can you do it? Yes. He nodded once. Good. If you need authority, use my name. The meeting ended as abruptly as it began. No pep talk, no threat, just expectation. Back at my desk, Jake was waiting, leaning on the partition like a cat that had just discovered a new toy. What did he want? A formal apology for ruining the mood? He wants us to rebuild the Horizon deck. His smirk faltered. What? It's done? He said not to trust the dashboard. Jake laughed, but it came out brittle. The dashboard's fine. You're not touching it. I'll pull the base exports, I said, opening my laptop. You're not listening, he snapped. It's my deck. You're here to polish slides, not rewrite numbers. Then you shouldn't mind if I check them. He stared at me for a beat too long. Don't screw with me, man. Then he walked off, fast. By evening, the office emptied out. The cleaning crew started their quiet ballet. Trash cans, vacuums, the sound of things being erased. I stayed. The spreadsheet opened like a confession. Rows, columns, timestamps. I ran a few test pivots. Numbers didn't add up. The revenue summary Jake had presented last week overstated margin by 12%. On paper, it looked brilliant. In reality, it was poison. At 11:07 p.m., I found the edit logs. 2 entries, both from Jake's credentials, both done after midnight last Tuesday. He hadn't just inflated numbers. He'd swapped data sources to hide churn. I stared at the screen. My cursor blinked on a row that shouldn't exist. The clock on the wall read 11:52. The report was due in less than 10 hours. I could confront him or I could fix it. I chose the second. By 1:47 a.m., the office was empty except for me and the hum of the servers. The only light came from my monitor, pale blue on paper cups and cold pizza boxes. The new file grew line by line, built from raw exports, cleaned, audited, proofed, honest numbers, real ones. At 3:30 a.m., I saved the final version, Horizon Q4, truth.xsx. Before leaving, I sent one email. To CEO subject, Horizon deck, final build. The corrected data set is ready. All source files verified and attached. I'll be in early to brief you before the presentation. I hovered over send for a second, then clicked. The message left the outbox at 3:37 a.m. Somewhere between exhaustion and adrenaline, I realized I wasn't tired. I was awake in a way I hadn't been in years. By the time the sun rose, my eyes felt like sandpaper. But the file was clean, verified, backed up twice. The kind of work you could sign your name to without fear. At 8:45 a.m., the conference room was already filling. Horizon Systems team sat along the glass wall. 3 suits, 1 woman with a tablet, the kind of client who notices everything. Jake stood at the front, sleeves rolled, grin fixed. His energy was high, manic almost, the way people get when they're betting their reputation and hoping no one checks the cards. He gave me a look that said, "Stay quiet, let me drive." The CEO entered last. He didn't sit. He leaned against the far wall, hands in pockets, eyes steady on us. There was something surgical about the way he watched, as if the entire room were a live case study. Jake began. "Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We've got great news. Your Q4 performance exceeded projections by double digits." He clicked to the first slide. Smooth charts, bright colors, the fake dashboard data. His voice oozed confidence. "As you'll see, our predictive models anticipate continued growth well into next year." The client CFO raised an eyebrow. "Double digits, huh? That's a surprise. Our internal reports suggest otherwise." Jake laughed too quickly. "Ah, well, that's why you hired us, to find the good news you missed." The CFO didn't laugh. He folded his hands. "Walk me through your assumptions." Jake clicked to a slide he hadn't prepared. His hand shook slightly as he scrolled through columns of numbers. "Well, we, used the Q3 baseline and factored retention improvements from," I cut in, "from a dataset that was never validated." Every head turned. Even the CEO's posture changed. A small, deliberate shift, like a pilot taking the controls. Jake's smile froze. "Excuse me?" I opened my laptop, projecting my own file onto the secondary screen. This is the corrected model, built from verified exports pulled last night directly from Horizon's API. No manual overrides, no duplicates, no optimistic rounding. The CFO leaned forward. You rebuilt the entire dataset? Yes. Jake laughed again, brittle now. This guy's a perfectionist. Couldn't sleep unless every comma lined up. Not quite, I said. I couldn't sleep knowing the numbers you sent would collapse under audit, which they just did. A silence rolled across the room, heavy and absolute. On the screen, my version told a different story. Growth, but modest and real. A retention dip that matched internal reports. Forecasts that were stable, not miraculous. This model, I continued, shows sustainable improvement, not fiction, and it aligns exactly with Horizon's internal data. The client CFO's mouth twitched, the ghost of a smile. Finally, something that makes sense. Jake's voice cracked. We were going for optimism. The CFO replied, We prefer accuracy. He turned to the CEO. I assume this is the official version moving forward? The CEO's answer was calm, measured. It is now. Jake's color drained. He tried to salvage the moment. I think there's been a miscommunication. We were still iterating. The CAO cut him off with a look. Iteration doesn't involve falsifying data sources. The room held its breath. Jake tried to speak again, but the CEO's gaze didn't move. It pinned him like a nail through paper. We'll continue this later, the CEO said. For now, let's focus on our client. The meeting went on another 30 minutes. I presented the risk mitigation steps, the retention plan, the new metrics for reporting transparency. The clients nodded, took notes, and by the end, the CFO stood to shake my hand. This, he said, is what we were hoping for when we signed the contract. They left smiling. Jake didn't. As soon as the door closed, the CEO said, Everyone else, give us a minute. People scattered. The door clicked shut. Only the three of us remained. The CEO, Jake, and me. Jake broke first. Look, it wasn't like that. I smoothed the data. Everyone does it. Everyone? The CEO asked quietly. Interesting, because I don't. He walked to the window, speaking to the skyline. Do you know how I found you, Jake? Jake blinked. Found me. When I joined this company, I reviewed internal referrals. You were a recommendation from a former director. She described you as energetic, persuasive, a team builder. She forgot one adjective. Reckless. Jake's jaw tensed. With respect, sir, I've closed deals that paid for half this floor. And you just tried to close another with falsified numbers. The CEO turned, eyes cold. That's not sales. That's sabotage. Jake looked at me, then back at him. He's exaggerating. He wants my job. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. The CEO already had the email thread I'd sent overnight. He walked to the table, opened a folder, and slid out a single sheet. These are your audit logs, 2 edits, timestamp 12:42 a.m. and 12:57 a.m. last Tuesday, both from your user ID. Jake's face went slack. You went through mine. Compliance did, the CEO said. They also found your memo proposing an inflated forecast to create momentum before contract renewal. I've seen momentum. This isn't it. Jake's voice dropped to a whisper. You can't fire me for a mistake. I could, the CEO said, but I won't. HR will. He turned to me. Send them your report and all supporting files. I'll handle the rest. Jake took a step forward. You think this guy's some kind of hero? He's been hiding in a cubicle for years, doing grunt work no one notices. You think he's leadership material? The CEO's answer was quiet, absolute. Yes. That single word landed harder than any shout could have. Jake's mouth opened, then closed. He left without another sound. The CEO watched the door shut behind him. Then he looked at me. You didn't have to fix that deck last night. I know. But you did anyway. Yes. He nodded once. Good. Be in the main hall at 4. HR and legal will handle the formalities. Bring your operations memo. You'll want to hear what comes next. He left me standing there, the city glowing behind the glass, my pulse steady for the first time in 24 hours. I didn't know what comes next meant, but I had a feeling it wasn't just about spreadsheets anymore. The office smelled like nerves that afternoon, burnt coffee, printer toner, and something metallic beneath the air conditioning like fear. Word had spread fast. All hands meeting at 4. Mandatory attendance. Nobody knew why, but everyone had guesses. Jake wasn't at his desk. His chair sat pushed too neatly under the table, the surface wiped clean. That was how you knew it was serious. Even his framed photo was gone. At 3:58, the main hall was already full. Rows of chairs, dim lights, a big screen glowing with the company logo. I sat near the back. I didn't want attention. I'd had enough of that for a lifetime. At 4:01 sharp, the CEO walked in. No introduction music, no slides, no warm-up, just presence. People quieted like someone had lowered the oxygen. He stood in the center, hands folded loosely, and scanned the room until the last whisper died. "Let's get one thing straight," he said. His voice was calm, but it carried like steel under silk. "This company doesn't run on charm, it runs on trust. You can recover from a bad quarter. You can't recover from dishonesty." Silence. You could hear phones buzzing in pockets and no one daring to check them. "In the last 24 hours, he continued, we found deliberate data falsification in one of our client accounts. It risked millions in contracts and damaged our reputation. The individual responsible has been terminated for cause." A ripple went through the crowd, quick, sharp, like electricity. No one said Jake's name. They didn't need to. Everyone knew. The CEO paused, letting the silence stretch. "We've also identified the person who prevented that mistake from becoming a catastrophe." My pulse spiked. He looked around the room, slowly, deliberately, then said, "Some of you may know him. Most of you have ignored him. Until last night, he was the quietest man in the building." He started walking down the aisle, steady and unhurried. Every pair of eyes followed. "When I arrived at the party yesterday," he said, "I watched something happen that told me exactly who in this company mattered and who only thought they did." He stopped mid-row. My chest felt tight. The sound of his shoes against the carpet was the only thing in the room. "Humiliation," he said softly, "isn't leadership. Real leaders make others better, not smaller. One man showed me that last night." He turned. Our eyes met. Then, in front of everyone, he walked straight toward me. The same calm walk from the terrace, but this time there was weight behind it. Purpose. People shifted, whispering, unsure what they were seeing. He stopped right in front of my seat. "Stand up." I did. My knees felt like glass. "This," he said to the room, his hand on my shoulder, "is the reason we still have Horizon Systems as a client today." He stayed up all night rebuilding a system someone else tried to corrupt. He didn't do it for applause. He did it because he refuses to lie with numbers. The room was silent. Then, one by one, people started clapping. Not the fake kind they do in meetings. Slow, genuine, spreading like a wave. I didn't move. I didn't trust my voice. The CEO waited for the noise to quiet. Then he said, "Effective immediately, he'll serve as interim head of operations. His first task, rebuild our data integrity structure and set new audit protocols. Anyone who values shortcuts should update their resume." The clapping returned, louder this time. Jake's absence was a vacuum that no one dared fill. The CEO leaned closer to me and lowered his voice, just enough that only I could hear. "You've spent your career making other people look competent. Time to see what happens when you stop hiding." He straightened, nodded once, and walked back up the aisle. Behind him, the applause didn't stop. I felt something shift inside me. Not pride exactly, but a quiet kind of justice. The kind that doesn't need revenge because truth did the work for you. After the meeting, people I barely knew came up to shake my hand. Some muttered apologies. Some avoided eye contact. It didn't matter. I wasn't angry anymore. The CEO passed by on his way out. "Good work?" he said. "Thank you." He stopped. "No," he said. Thank you. You reminded everyone why this place still has a pulse. When he left, I finally exhaled. Later that night, the office emptied again. I sat alone under the low hum of fluorescent lights, watching the skyline through the glass. The same city, the same view, but something in it looked different, clearer somehow. I opened my laptop, not to work, just to look at the file one more time. The data, neat and honest. The kind of numbers that don't lie, don't flatter, don't hide. Then I shut it down. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need applause. I had something better. Proof. And as I walked out into the quiet hallway, the echo of the CEO's words followed me like a promise. Time to see what happens when you stop hiding. Outside, the night air felt clean. The city lights flickered on the glass doors behind me, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't walk away small. I walked forward, straight ahead,